Hi, my name is Jackie, and I wanted to welcome you to the Never Ending Travel Bucket List YouTube channel. So this will be one of my first videos that I make, and I kind of wanted to come on here and just kind of do a little story time on how I started traveling the world. So before I get into the story of how that happened, I first want to just give a little overview on like who I am, why I love traveling and all that. So I am 21 years old. I am currently in university to become a teacher. So I caught the travel bug very early on. Since I've traveled with my family for many years, I've been very fortunate to have grown up traveling around the world. And just being able to see different cultures, meet amazing people, see amazing landscapes, I just loved it. So ever since I was young, I knew that I wanted to travel the world. So as soon as I could get a job, I did. I saved up money. People always asked me what I was saving my money for, and it was to go to school and to travel. So let's get into how I started traveling and how I got to start traveling on a budget as well as solo traveling as a young female. So like I said, have been traveling from a very young age, but my first ever trip without my parents was when I was in grade 10. And I went with my sister to Fiji for 2 weeks to do a volunteer trip, and we taught over in Suva, Fiji. So, very odd experience because I was technically still in my grade 10 year when I left for 2 weeks, but it was because my sister was on break from university and it was the only time that we were both free. So I left school for 2 weeks. I got my homework for those 2 weeks. I did it while I was on the plane when I was over there, but I knew that I wanted to travel and I was ready to make it work no matter what. So that was my first ever experience. First of all, volunteering abroad as well as traveling without my family. Well, I was with my sister, but without my parents. And it kind of just started my whole journey. I absolutely loved it. I made such a deep connection with all the kids in only 2 weeks. I was like bawling my eyes out, almost leaving them. It was amazing. So I recommend to anyone that wants to start traveling, especially solo traveling, volunteering abroad is such a great way to do it. It's organized, it's like low stakes, so you'll meet lots of people. So that's how I got started. And then from there, COVID hit. So I went to Fiji in 2019, which was right before COVID. So the following 2 years were kind of a write-off for traveling. In those 2 years, I graduated high school and got into college and university. And as soon as things started opening back up, I knew that I was ready to travel. I worked, I saved up, I wasn't doing much over the 2 years of COVID, so I was ready to go. So my next trip after my Fiji one was again with my sister. We went to Bali in Australia. In Bali, we did a couple weeks traveling by ourselves, and then I actually did my first time ever being without anyone that I knew solo for 1 week. I was volunteering in that 1 week. My sister went traveling with her boyfriend, and so I kind of got a little tester on what it was like to not be with anyone that I knew. And it was definitely a scary experience. I think it was nice knowing that someone I knew was still in the country that I was in, which was kind of like a little tester, a little dip my toes into solo traveling, see what I thought. And it was a little bit hard. I definitely felt homesick a little bit, but I still had the most amazing time. I met tons of people, and then I met back up with my sister and her boyfriend, and we did 2 weeks volunteering in Nusa Penida, which is just off Bali, doing sea turtle conservation, which was amazing. So that was the first part of our trip, and then it was just me and my sister. We did a tour up the east coast of Australia, which we met amazing people on that tour as well. So for most of that trip, I was traveling with other people. Just that 1 week, I was solo traveling. And then the year after that, so that was in 2021, in 2022, I realized that if I wanted to travel and not have to change my plans because I didn't want to go by myself. I needed to be more comfortable solo traveling. So my travel buddy up to that point had been my sister, but she had to do school during the summer, which is when we normally travel. So I had to make a decision whether or not I was going to stay home, be kind of too scared to solo travel, or take the leap. It ended up not working out exactly what I thought because one of my friends came with me for part of the trip. We went to Greece, Spain, and Portugal for 2 months, and I was traveling with one of my friends for the first little bit of the trip, and then she went home at the end, and I stayed 2 more weeks in Portugal volunteering in Oleiros, Portugal. And that was my first time ever being in a continent that I didn't know anyone. So it was kind of a step up from Bali, where I still knew that my sister was not that far away. This was a completely different experience. I had to fly home by myself, everything like that. So again, just like little baby steps I took to get to this summer, which I solo traveled for 5 weeks by myself. So I'll get to this past trip. But yeah, I did 2 weeks volunteering in Portugal, and it was amazing. I was helping out in a healing center to get this couple, they just started this business, and that was my first time volunteering with Worldpackers, and I absolutely loved it. So I started volunteering with Worldpackers more, and I did 2 volunteer trips this past summer in 2024. And I did 1 volunteer trip in Thailand and 1 volunteer trip in Cambodia. But overall, I did 3 months traveling. I first started off going to Japan and Singapore with my sister. So I wasn't solo for the first little bit. Then we met up with my parents and her boyfriend in Vietnam and Thailand. And then after a few weeks with them, we all split up. They went home because they needed to start work and all that. But as a college student, I had a bit more flexibility. So I was able to get my classes online and still travel for an extra month while I had started school. And I did another 2 weeks in Thailand. I volunteered in Koh Phangan in a hostel to help out with the full moon parties, which was really fun. I met the most amazing group of girls volunteering. It was amazing. I loved it. And then I went to Cambodia for 3 weeks. So I did 1 week traveling just a couple places, going into hostels. That was my first time ever being solo without volunteering. It was a bit of a scary experience, but I absolutely loved it. And I know people say this all the time, and if you haven't heard it, you need to know this. If you think that solo traveling means that you are going to be alone all the time, it is not. I promise you, I was terrified. I went from 2 weeks volunteering in one place, and I didn't really go anywhere else, to 5 weeks where I was traveling all around the places. And I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna hate this. What if I'm by myself for the full 5 weeks? What if I'm so homesick and I wanna go home? I was not ready to go home after the 5 weeks I was by myself. I was ready to travel way longer than that. So I met so many people along the way. I was never alone. So there might be times when you're solo traveling that you don't meet people, but almost all the time, if you're staying in hostels or if you're volunteering, you are going to meet people, and you might travel with them or you might see them for a short amount of time. But I promise you, if you make an effort to talk to other people, all travelers, especially solo, there's a lot of people solo traveling, they want to meet people, they want to make friends. So do not be scared about that. Take my advice. I was also scared, but all went perfectly. And then my last 2 weeks in Cambodia, I did 2 weeks teaching in Siem Reap province, which was teaching English, which was another volunteer with Worldpackers, and it was amazing. So, and that brings us to where I am now. Before I kind of finish up this video, I kind of wanted to explain how I started making these. So I started a travel blog 2 years ago, and then I started getting into Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and I just wanted to basically show people that you can travel no matter who you are. I'm 21 years old. I am in university. I do not have that much money. I'm living in Vancouver, Canada. It is expensive here, you know, but if you want to travel, you can do it. And I want to show you how to do it. So I wanted to make kind of a community of people that just love to travel and love to learn about new cultures and see amazing sights. And I wanted to show you that you can do it, and you can do it on a budget if you wanted to. So there's so many different types of travel. I'm not saying that I'm going on a 3-month vacation. That would not be something I can do. I cannot fund a luxurious trip, but I can sure as hell backpack Southeast Asia on a budget and have the most amazing time and make the most amazing memories. So this is why I started this channel. This is why I started other social medias. So if you want to follow me on TikTok or Instagram, it's the same, The Never Ending Travel Bucket List. That is also my travel blog. The name is basically because I could not stop talking about all the places that I wanted to see in the world. I would come back from a trip and I would talk about all the other places that I want to go to. It got to a point that my family got annoyed with me. They're like, Jackie, slow down. You have too many places on your list. And that's why I started this Never Ending Travel Bucket List, because it really is never ending. I have so many places that I want to see, and every time I travel, I hear stories from other people, and it just adds another place that I want to travel onto my bucket list. So basically, I want to share with you my experiences, my tips on traveling, some travel itineraries, and basically just make it more accessible to everyone. Whoever you are, I just want to show you that you can travel if that is something that you're passionate about. So this will be one of my first videos. I hope that kind of showed you a bit about me. But yeah, so if you are someone that wants to travel the world, if you are someone like me that is in their early 20s, maybe female, and wants to solo travel, if you're a university student and want to travel the world, give this channel a follow. Give my other social medias a follow as well. I would love to make a community of people that love to travel, and I'll share with you all of my tips and tricks and all my knowledge that I have gotten from traveling. So I will see you in my next video.